Hi guys, welcome to the Art of Healing podcast. I'm your host Pearls,
And I'm Paris.
and today we're going to be talking about holiday stress and people pleasing.
So yeah, let's get into it. It being December and whatnot, I guess it's a big topic.
It's that festive season.
But in all seriousness, it is meant to be, I guess, a time in our calendars where we're coming together to see our families. It's meant to be a lot of fun. A lot of people do have time off work. Obviously, there's the whole gift giving element to it, which is really cute, and all the food that goes with that too. Putting up a Christmas tree, this sort of thing. On paper, that sounds delightful. But the reality is actually for most people, a lot of people, it's actually like really stressful and really overwhelming, I think, is the right way
Yeah,
to put it.
definitely. It's a little bit like going on holiday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you think it's going to be this fun, amazing thing because we're getting on a flight, we're going somewhere hot, but it's just very, very stressful. I say this because I experienced this a while ago.
What, going on holiday or stress?
Both. But yeah, I think it's especially difficult for people, especially if they're. I think it's difficult anyway, but I think if you're a people pleaser, it's 10 times harder because you have all the additional emotional stresses of making sure everyone's happy or feeling like you need to make sure everyone's happy,
Yeah.
getting the best present, spending time agonizing over whether this will be the best thing for everyone, whether everyone is going to have a great time. Because you want it to be good. You want people to have a magical time, but you also have this thing where you feel like you want to be liked, valued.
Yeah.
You want your worth to be shown.
Through like the efforts and the stuff, I guess, that you've given and everything that goes
Exactly.
around it. It's interesting though, because we get to like this point where it's almost like we want a perfect Christmas. Like Christmas has to be perfect, nothing can go wrong, everything has to go smoothly. It's just like, wait, can we just take a step back and look at your life? Please tell me another period of your life where everything that you planned went smoothly. Nothing happened that didn't go wrong. And how did you handle those things when things did go wrong? But for some reason, when it comes to Christmas, it's got to be 100%. It's got to be perfect. And if something does go wrong, it's like the end of the world. And the best example I can give of this, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners can resonate with this, and I really hope Mum's not listening to this episode, but she's really good at this, by the way, now. But just to give you a explanation or insight into how our Christmases went, Mum would put so much pressure on herself to have the best Christmas. She would not take any help when it came to making Christmas dinner, although we'd offer it. And then she'd always, because she was in such a state getting everything together, end up burning something, ending up missing some sort of ingredient. And like one year, she made a prawn cocktail, right? And she forgot to put the mayonnaise in the prawn cocktail. So she served us the prawn cocktail. We ate it. It was very nice. But then she realized, oh, I've not put the mayonnaise in this. And she started crying.
Oh,
But it was just like, Mum, we've eaten it. It
we
was very
enjoyed it.
nice. It was nice. And every, like, it's a running joke in our family. It's like, oh, you've ruined Christmas. Because it would take the smallest thing ever, but something would set her off. And like we just said, Christmas would be ruined. And of course, didn't really understand that at the time. We've kind of grown through that whole phase of our family, which is great. But I guess looking from a nervous system perspective, it comes from a place of like putting that pressure on yourself, people pleasing, wanting everything to go perfectly. And this is just like an unattainable dream. It's like when you put your expectations so high, you're always destined at some point to be disappointed. And that's when you're going to get upset. That's when you're just hurting yourself. Do you know what I mean? When it doesn't have to get to that point, or you don't have to take it that way. Like, just do the best that you can.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think we always want to have the best time or do the best thing, especially if you're in the person who's in charge of the cooking, you're in person who's in charge of, let's call it like the host of Christmas, let's
Yeah,
call it.
yeah.
You have this like pressure on you that you want to do the best. You want everyone to have a great time. You want to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And you're right, that doesn't happen anywhere in life. So why is it when we get to Christmas, the expectation that we put on ourselves is so high, and then the tiniest thing goes wrong, we explode?
That's it. I guess it's like it's a build up, isn't it? I feel like a lot of us work to get to the end of the year, and Christmas is like that blow off the top moment. Like, oh, we've been saving up all year for Christmas presents. We've been waiting all year to like spend time with our family who we haven't seen. And, you know, as the hype starts building into it as well, you start seeing the Christmas films, you start seeing the adverts, you walk into the supermarket in October and there's Christmas decorations on sale. So like there's this whole like element of like anticipation for the big event. So it builds over time. And then if we actually like take a step back and look at society as a whole, there's a lot of pressure to like keep up with everyone else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I remember like I've seen on not this year so far, thank God, but like on previous years, I've seen like viral posts that where like mums have been complaining and like kicking off and ranting on videos on Facebook, TikTok, whatever, about like how other families are like spoiling their kids with presents, and then their kids are going to school and it's like, well, we can't afford to give them what you've given them.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to try to like keep up with the standard that the rest of the kids are getting things gifted, whereas like some people can't afford that. They genuinely don't have the room for that. So that's quite tough as well. I feel like that puts people in a really tricky position because you're kind of playing along with the Joneses, one, and then two, you obviously don't want to let your kid down because it's such a big thing for kids too.
And then there's the whole thing for the kid as well of like, oh, if they don't get what everyone's got at school, then they're going to be left out, and then they won't have, you know, there's this whole thing where you just get sucked into nonsense where none of it actually matters, but like there's so much emotion attached to it. It's hard to not get sucked into it.
I actually can't imagine what it's like to be in school now because when we were in school, there was no social media. Not really.
It just started with Facebook, MySpace.
We had MySpace, we had Bebo, we had a few other things, but like TikTok and Instagram didn't come until a lot later.
It wasn't how it is now.
No. So, but like the use of social media is so much now. So imagine like you got something that you didn't want or you didn't get what everyone else got, and then come into school and be like, hey, what did you get for Christmas? And it's like, oh, I got like pajamas or something, which great gifts, by the way.
Yeah.
But like someone's like, oh, well, I got the latest iPhone and I got like the latest MacBook. And it's like, well, that's cool. But then it becomes like a thing that I have to like also attain, like, because I remember also seeing like, because I think social media has a little bit to do with this actually, because I remember seeing a video, they might still do them, but it's like where they ask you how much your outfit is. And it's like, and it's like,
oh, like I know what ones you're talking about.
But like every single kid that I remember seeing kids come on that and they were wearing outfits that were like £3,000. Like my trainers are like 800, my jacket is from blah, 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 and it's like 1,100. This watch is from here, my phone is this. And I was like, but who is paying for this? Where are you getting the money for this? But I think that's kind of where society is going. It's like this, I got to keep up with him, or I got to keep up with her because of what have they got?
You always got to one up the other person, or at least like match them.
Yeah.
Even if it's a detriment to your finances, your mental health, you know, and everything else that goes with it. It's like, I was having a conversation with mum and dad a while back, and they were kind of just feeling a bit down about, I guess, the way they'd made some parental decisions. And I said to him, like, hey, like, you know, you guys don't give yourselves enough credit. And also something like I never have said to you, but like, I really appreciate all the hard work that you put in over Christmas, because, you know, being a young kid, I didn't understand what money was or what the things was I was asking, yet somehow like you still gave them to me. But I didn't realize the gravity of like, hey, this thing cost £200 for a new Nintendo, but you got it for me. And I just realized, and I was like, I know now I'm an adult and I pay for things on Christmas and other times. I was like, I realized like how hard you must have worked for that stuff. And, you know, probably how much you couldn't afford it as well. And they kind of both fell silent, but I guess they got the point I was making there. But, you know, I think so many people are in that position where it's just like, one, they want to keep their kids happy, and also there's that pressure that we're saying.
I think keeping up with the Joneses is like also spread beyond Christmas. It's, you know, it's prevalent in other times of our lives as well. Like I remember I used to do door-to-door sales, and I went to an area that you would call probably like quite middle class. It was like all new bills, but like all the new bills were like slightly different. They were like really, really big. And everyone had like really nice cars on their drives. And I remember I signed up a few people in this area, and it was like donations for charity. And then one of the kids whose house I'd just been to signing up his parents were very wealthy. He had gone, because they knew I was going next door, which was his friend's house. So him and his friend were like, oh, we'll come with you. Right. So they came with me. And then I spoke to the mum who lived there, who looked like she was a single mom, looked like she was really struggling to keep up with the Joneses. But her first question was, but the kids were like, oh, well, blah, 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 dad just signed up. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, if he did it, I'll do it too. But like, I was thinking like, it's visibly noticeable that you don't need to be signing up for this just because someone else has signed up. But the reality is most people are doing that. They're like, oh, what did so-and-so do? Oh, you've done that. Okay, I guess I'll do that too. And that was actually so common when I was doing door-to-door sales. People were always very interested in what is someone else doing and how can I match that. Or
Yeah.
in the mothers meeting later, or, you know, I can say, well, I did it too.
Mhm.
Oh, I give 20. You
Yeah.
gave 10. Oh, well, I give 20. Oh, I give 30. Oh, you sponsored one child. I sponsored two. Like that. And that's how it gets a little bit.
Mhm.
But I think this all comes from like really struggling to be authentically you. I think
Yeah.
everyone is really struggling. Obviously, we touched on this in the previous episode, but I think everyone is really struggling to like own their truth, own their reality, and actually be who they are and who they want to be. And I think because people actually often get lost in who they are and who they want to be, they attach themselves in becoming the people around them.
Yeah.
Because then, like you say, you become the average of the five people around you. I don't think that just extends to like your morals and your thoughts and stuff. I think it extends to like how you behave and like the things that you buy and the things that you're interested in. So it shows.
Yeah, and that's why you can literally go to like a middle class area, and if you check the row of cars, half of them are the same because they all want to copy each other. They're all walking out of the house, seeing that their next door neighbor's got a brand new Mini, so they get the brand new Mini. Then the other neighbor across the road sees it, and then all of a sudden the whole road's full of Minis. It's a phenomenon. Honestly, do it. Go and see it if you have not seen this. It's a real thing.
This is actually really funny because we play the mini car game. If you don't know this game, it's basically when you see a mini car, you punch someone. So Paris and I, it's not like a hard punch. You like give them a little jab, a little nudge. So we've been playing this game for years. But there was this one area that we would go to, and there was like so many mini cars on the street. Remember? And we were always like the entire way up this road would just be jabbing each other.
Mini no returns.
But they all look the same as well. So yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah, so it comes from the same place of not really knowing yourself, just trying to copy everyone else without really knowing why, and never having like the answers for yourself. So when it comes in the format of Christmas, that looks like obviously overgiving. It looks like trying to people please. It looks like, oh, I heard such and such is getting so-and-so for Timmy, so I want to buy the same thing for our son, even though your kid maybe doesn't even want that thing, but because their mum's told your mum, and it's just like becomes this whole thing.
Yeah.
And like this is just on the present side of gift giving and how stressful that can be, along with like we discussed dinner as well and that sort of thing. But there is this whole element. I never fortunately experienced this because I've got quite a small family, but I know a lot of people have a lot of stress around spending time with their family over Christmas because there's a lot of people in their family they don't like.
Yeah.
I was the opposite. I always, when it came to Christmas, I was always gutted that everyone was having their nans and their granddads and their cousins and their uncles around, and it was just like me, my brother, my mom, and my dad, and that was it. But like, from what I've heard, I'm grateful for that. So yeah, and I think, you know, something that I've grown to learn is that just because someone's your family, it doesn't necessarily mean one, you have to be friends with them, and also it doesn't technically make them your family, or at least just because they're blood, it doesn't make them family. That's what I say, because you don't have to be in a relationship with these people. Like, you don't have to be friends with these people. You don't even have to be civil with these people if you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, that's what Christmas does. It brings people together that actually in the real life, you know, the real world, don't gel together. And then they have to, oh, I've got to see Steve. I've got to spend time with my uncle. I hate him. Oh, I've got to see my sister this year. Hate her. And it just becomes this whole thing where, like, again, Christmas is meant to be a time where you're spending time with people that you love and care about, where now you feel obliged to go around so-and-so's house to spend time with them, even though you don't want to be there. And
I think if you have like a lot of childhood trauma, especially related to like your siblings and your parents, it can be very, very triggering being in those environments, especially if you haven't like learned to, I guess, overcome the things that happened and overcome like the experiences that you had. If you are someone who is ticking the boxes of all the stresses that can be caused in this festive period, from seeing your family to people pleasing to buying presents, then we have got an absolutely amazing thing in store for you. We're doing a series on our TikTok and our Instagram called Don't Stress December. And it's basically where we give you one tip, one trick every single day that you can incorporate into your life to basically manage your stress this Christmas. So if that is you, head on over to our Instagram or our TikTok. Day one's already out. By the time you probably listen to this, it'll probably be like day 7 or 8. So yeah, there'll be lots for you to catch up on.
You got some homework to do, basically.
And also as well, one thing I will also say, one tip that is actually in there is just get comfortable saying no. Say no to things that you don't want to do, that you don't have the energy for, that you don't have the time for, that you don't have the money for. Whatever you do not have something for, just say no to it. Because saying no to something that doesn't align with you or serve you is saying yes to yourself, and that's okay. It's okay to choose yourself this festive period. So yeah, that's the gift I'm giving you. Say no. It's basically a yes to you.
Big up yourself one time.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.